Okay, so very quick, spoiler-free reaction to Spider-Man No Way Home. Just got back from the film. I went to see it at 10:30 this morning, didn't get much sleep, and I'm now going straight into work. But the film itself, again, no spoilers. Okay, great. It was great. I absolutely loved it. Is it a perfect film? No. There's some bits and some moving parts in there that just, there's so much going on in the film that if you're going to go into a Marvel movie looking for airtight logic, you're not going to get it anyway, and this film's no different, and there's so many things at play. But it's amazing how they juggled so many different elements. And I was both excited to see the old villains, like kind of some of the favorites, like for me, Doc Ock, Alfred Molina, one of the best villains or characters in any comic book movie that I've seen. So excited to see him come back. I thought he was great. I was looking forward to seeing him and knew he'd be great because he's such a great actor anyway, but, I was also concerned that that would overshadow Tom Holland a little bit and that it wouldn't really be his third movie. It would be like a bit like Captain America Civil War, which is more of a Avengers 2.5, and that this would be just like a, fan service 1.5. I don't know, it felt like, I was going to be all in on the fan service, but I did worry that maybe it would override everything else, and it really doesn't. And they gave it the time, it's like a good 2.5 hours, and it builds up well, I think, and there's an excitement, and I tell you, the cinema experience, it was packed out. Me and my best mate, one of my best mates, we sat like in the second from the front row, so no one else was around us. We had a seat between us, so I felt really, like I didn't feel like, because when we looked at like the booking, there was like just the whole middle was like packed out, and I didn't want to sit in the middle of all these people, but there was an energy that I haven't felt since I went to see Endgame, or maybe, well, yeah, I mean, the Rise of Skywalker was kind of fun and that whole experience, but really there hasn't been anything like this since Endgame. And I will say that there are, I don't want to, if I specify it might spoil things, but there was a cheer in the movie, a big cheer from the crowd. I've never felt anything like that before in a cinema, not even in Endgame. Now, is it as good as Endgame? No. Does it have as much massive emotion and incredible payoffs as Endgame? No. But there's really cool stuff in it, really great moments, and it had the humor. It was hilarious at times. And using a lot of the old characters coming in was very, very funny, and the interplay was well done. The way they focused on certain characters more than others was really well done, I think, and appropriate to how much the fans would want to see, but also how good the actors are in the roles. And, it's no secret now that Willem Dafoe is in the movie, and I think that he made for a great villain in this. And I loved Molina's version of Doc Ock, which felt very similar to what we saw before, but there's a bit of a twist on it. And there's a bit of a twist on a lot of things. But ultimately, it is still Tom Holland's movie. And I thought he was incredible. This is his best performance as Spider-Man, and it really challenges the character in a way that I think is really exciting for the future of his character. But it was, and again, the cinema experience, there was a cheer, a reaction, an eruption, and it made me well up instantly. Not even because I was a big fan of what was happening. Well, it was cool, but the cheer that came wasn't like from something that I was super invested in, but it made me well up with tears just because of the feeling of like a good 150 people behind you just, and it felt like that was something that was bottled up for a certain period of time and just popped. And I'll remember that one. That was a really. And a couple more things, it was just, yeah, that cheer was, with Endgame, there was a palpable electricity, like on that midnight premiere, and some of those moments, like Cap capturing the hammer, and, and I yelled out in the cinema, holy fuck, but there was never a big cheer moment, like you could feel the electricity with the atmosphere when he did, Avengers Assemble, you felt it, but you didn't hear it as much in my cinema experience. And I have seen one Marvel movie in New York, Winter Soldier, which was like almost like unnecessary levels of crowd reactions. Like when it revealed that the Winter Soldier was Bucky, and people were like, holy shit, like they were going nuts. But this was like, the cheer was, oh yeah, that was really cool. But the film, I loved it. I really, really did. And it is tempting. I'll check the time, because I do have to go to work shortly. Very, very shortly. There is a temptation when you see something like this, especially in a franchise, to go, well, hey guys, it's the best Spider-Man movie, or it's one of the best MCU movies. And that's kind of judging its merit based on the metric of other things, which, you know, in a way is fair, and in another way isn't as fair, I think. But I will say, you know, as far as Spider-Man movies go, I'm just going to do it. See, I just talked about, like, the the cons of doing this, and I'm going to do it anyway. But, you know, for me, it is easily top 3 at least Spider-Man movies. And there was a lot of spectacle, but the spectacle, for me, never overrode the true core of the story. And while a lot of those, like, disparate elements might be a bit messy, I think that the actual inner core of it, and that's, you know, Tom Holland's Peter Parker, they nailed it. They really nailed it, and I thought that that was the best thing, because they could have done this movie exactly as they did it, but not challenge him as much and focus more on the fan service, and it still would have been really fun and really exciting, and you still would have got those cheers, but you really resonate more with the way that they did it. And there's a particular scene which really has nothing to do with any of the new or old characters, and it's to do with characters we already know, and it's one of the best types of those scenes I've ever seen in a film, and it's yeah, that's gonna stick with me. So anyway, I'll leave it there. I'll come back with, maybe I'll do like a spoiler review, I don't know. We'll see what happens, but overall I loved it, and I'll try and see it again. We'll see what happens, but if not, I was glad to see it in the cinema, and it was good to feel a proper cinema experience again. You know, since the pandemic, I've been 4 or 5 times to the cinema. Dune was incredible because of just Dune itself. You know, Dune is overwhelming, but this is the first time I really felt a communal cinema experience again after, you know, 2 years or so, and that was pretty exciting. So has it been 2 years? Yeah, it's almost been 2 years. But even then, you know, the film like this is special, and it makes people happy, and it gives you these moments that, you know, excite you, and, you know, push those buttons that, you know, it's just, these movies are a part of what cinema is about, in my opinion. There are many facets, and this is one of them, and No Way Home excels at that part of it, that kind of part that really, it entertains people but moves them at the same time, I think, and that's something really special and should be cherished. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
It's alright by me. Apart from the fact he throws cans of Carlin into a tree. Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, he's really cool. But he's not quite as cool as you.